Does it exist?
Does it? What is it? What is it exactly?
What does it look like?
Is it real? Is it fake? Stay tuned.
Is it cultural appropriation? Damn.
Deep.
All right.
Hi everyone, my name is Tiana.
And I'm Ashley.
And this is WongaGyal, the podcast, your favorite Caribbean food podcast. We're back.
I wish you guys could see when Tiana does the intro. It's like she's in front of a camera, like gesticulating and everything. It's something to
the other day I was in the kitchen cooking, and I don't know, I was just in there and I was like, yeah guys, so we're gonna cut up the chicken now.
Vibes.
Oh no, it's not that. I was like, yeah guys, so we're gonna deglaze the pan. And Brandy was like, who are you talking to?
The people
I'm
on
like,
the camera.
the fans.
What you mean that we talking to some... This is a show. It's always a show. We have fans watching.
Like, welcome back to my cooking channel. Yeah. Anyways. So guys, if you haven't noticed, we have a new intro, and yeah, we didn't get a chance to comment on it before because those were pre-recorded before we even heard the intro.
Yeah, we literally heard the intro like the night before we aired the first episode of season 2, sorry.
Yeah.
But big up to the producer who did it for us.
You know yourself.
You know yourself.
You know yourself.
This was a gift that he gave us. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So we want to know if you guys like it because we love the vibes. We love I mean, it's new season, new look, new sound.
Yeah. Actually, say it sound like
a modern day creative cooking.
Yeah, modern day creative cooking. So tell us what you think.
But I mean, we stand creative cooking in this house.
Facts.
So.
Oh, facts. Big facts.
Maisie Miller. That was her name, right?
I think so.
Vibes.
So yes, so today we're going to be talking about a seemingly controversial topic. Why is it controversial?
Because it caused an argument on Twitter, and that's the basis of the word.
But to be honest, I don't really know why it's controversial, because I don't think it's that big of a controversy. But
I think it's the ambiguity around it, of what exactly it is.
Well, we're gonna sort that out today.
The different dimensions.
We're going to address street food in Jamaica.
Does it exist?
Does it? What is it? What is it exactly?
What does it look like?
Is it real? Is it fake? Stay tuned.
Is it cultural appropriation? Damn.
Deep.
All right.
So if you are on Twitter, or I guess if you're not on Twitter, you may not have known. I want to say is when it did happen. My concept of time is gone.
It could have been last year.
It could have been last year. It could have been 2 years ago. I don't know. But what I do know is that it was a big enough conversation for it to be stuck in me and Ashley's mind still. It's something that I'm sure both of us think about. We come back to it every now and again. It was a very deeply polarized conversation surrounding the existence of street food in Jamaica.
Yeah, because the argument was whether or not it was actually a part of our culture.
Yeah. Of course, there was like a whole section of Twitter. And if you're not on Twitter, you wouldn't know, but Jamaican Twitter is a war zone.
It's a little aggressive over there.
It's very aggressive, right? So there was a whole section on Twitter that was like, what do you mean Jamaican street food? That's like the pinnacle of our culture and and look how much different street foods we have and true no uptown and I don't know what I chat about.
And then there was another side of Twitter that just said it do exist.
Yeah, there was another side that was just like, what are you talking about?
We don't have street food here.
You are delusional, you're imagining things, this is not real. So we're here to talk about it. I don't know if we'll come to a conclusion necessarily as in like a right answer, because people are entitled to their opinions.
True.
And from what I've seen in the different tweets and on the different takes, I feel like a lot of people, their definition of street food is different, and that is a problem. That is the problem.
And I think a lot of what we engage in here is what others would consider street food, and then us as Jamaicans just don't see it that way.
Right. So let's start off with Google.
By the way, guys, Google is free.
Google is free.
Putting that out there.
Again,
quick reminder,
don't
Google
forget,
is free.
It's always free. as far as we know, they're not planning to.
Oh, don't put that out in the universe. Don't even finish that sentence.
Google is free, so yeah, do with that information what you will. According to Google, street food, noun.
Can I leave?
Street food is prepared or cooked food sold by vendors in a street or other public location for immediate consumption.
Read that again.
Prepared, and prepared doesn't mean cooked. Prepared could just mean there's some sort of preparation to the food, some assembly, or some sort of chopping up, cutting up something. Prepared or cooked food sold by vendors in a street or other public location for immediate consumption.
All right. Tiana, have you ever bought food literally on the street and consumed it immediately?
Yes.
So why was there an argument on Twitter about whether or not it exists?
There's a lot of reasons for why there was that argument on Twitter, which we will dissect throughout this episode. But let's break down that definition. So I already said everybody know what cooked is. Mm-hmm. Boom. You apply some heat to the food, it transforms the food, or you do a little mix up something.
Simple.
Boom. Prepared does not necessarily mean cooked, but it means that it has either been packaged or chopped up or something in a way.
Some form of put together,
right? Right. Sold by vendors. A vendor, somebody on the road that's selling thing. Right? Right. In a street or other public location. So, street food does not need to be sold on the street.
It says public location.
Street food can be sold in public locations, i.e. the National Stadium, for example.
We're just putting that out there.
For immediate consumption.
Meaning you eat it when you're hot and you go...
Right. Now, whether you choose to consume it immediately, that's your business. But the fact of the matter is you could consume it immediately.
Right off the pan.
Right. And that's what makes it street food. Now, given that this conversation started on Twitter, we're going to let some tweets lead the way. I'm not going to say who made the tweets just for anonymity.
To my phone and search street food in Jamaica.
That is what I did. So let's start it off with the argument for street food being in Jamaica. So here's a tweet that said, just remember what people on here tried to say Jamaica doesn't have a street food culture because they couldn't get it in a fancy courtyard with food trucks. And that's the tea.
It comes back to something that we mentioned earlier about how it looks. Mm-hmm. All right, and cultural appropriation. Mm-hmm. Let's move on.
All right, so my thing is, I feel like Jamaica, the Caribbean in general, we're very westernized. And let's be real, when it comes to quote-unquote Western culture in this modern day, a lot of that is defined by America. Mm-hmm. That's just the reality of the situation, right? Now, a lot of us have grown up watching a lot of American TV. Me and Ashley,
of course,
included. So, it's not completely wild, in my opinion, for someone's definition of street food and what street food is to be skewed by American TV, American media.
Agreed.
Come on, American media skews everything.
And they
for
influence
everybody.
Everything, unfortunately.
Right? So, when you grow up watching TV, you see all these nice food trucks. If you watch Food Network a lot of people, have food trucks now. And I think there has been like a surge in food trucks as well. I think the period after recession, and now we're coming into another recession.
Plus, the expenses with having a brick and mortar has been exorbitant for years.
Right, which is what I'm saying. I think there has been a lot of money issues in this part of the world, and getting a food truck is easy. So I think there has been a surge in food trucks, And I think the media has definitely pushed our idea of street food is from a food truck. I think in America there's a very specific idea of what street food looks like. And I don't think that it's the same in Jamaica. It's just not the same.
It doesn't look the same.
It doesn't look the same. And so am I mad that people have this preconceived notion of what street food is because of the media? No, I'm not. But I am mad that you think that street food can't look different.
And it comes back to something that we mentioned on this podcast so many different times. The fact that people have this idea of what something is supposed to look like, and they will never do research for themselves. Because, I mean, a quick Google search will tell you what street food actually is, the definition of the term. And for you to understand that you can put it in a context of Jamaican street culture, because it exists. It's just that it don't look like what you think it is.
Right.
Which Google tells us.
Right.
Just having food trucks, it's not.
Right. So, safe to say, street food in Jamaica is not a new thing.
No.
Okay? It's not new. It's been around since...
before we were there.
Almost as long as Jamaica itself.
Yeah.
Why? According to some historians, especially some historians that specialize in Jamaican food, Caribbean cuisine, the first Jamaican street food was jerk.
Of course. That's the first thing that comes to mind when I think about Jamaican street food.
Yeah, that was the first Jamaican street food because it came from Taino culture. It was something that the slaves, both slaves and slave masters, adopted. You know, everybody, jerk, let me tell you, if it's one thing
that bring everybody together,
there was no discrimination when it came on to jerk, especially like on the plantation. The enslaved, definitely ate different parts
of the meat, of course,
for jerk. But jerking in and of itself, it's been around since Jamaica has been around, right? And so alongside that, the period from 1838 to 1900, based on what the economy was looking like at the time, marked a period where there was a lot of dependency on internal produce. 1830s
marked Great Depression, so
right,
obviously.
there you go. So whereas before there was a lot of food being imported, remember this is going into that post-emancipation era, that post-colonial era. We're moving in that direction, right? So we're moving off of the plantation. We're kind of gaining some autonomy as
Crown colony and then pre-independence.
Right.
Okay.
Coupled with the Great Depression. So there is this surge of we're now independent. We don't need to depend on these people anymore. On top of the world is going through an economic crisis. So during that time, it says in larger towns, hawkers walk the streets selling fresh food and vegetables, fish and poultry, while the more specialized offered yam, sweet potato, plantain, ackee, eggs, black crabs, wood or charcoal. Other hawkers would sell cooked foods such as cakes and Jamaica sweetmeats, which counts as jerk. So some set up semi-permanent stalls on the pavements outside the public markets. In the post-colonial era,
all of these
Jamaica don't have a street food culture.
You know what's funny? As you're mentioning the different types of foods that were present back then, I can literally go through my head. Well, while you were speaking, I'm just identifying different places in Jamaica where in contemporary society, I have also consumed food from these places.
Yes. It's interesting to me that people have this take that there's no street food because, first of all, everybody get pan chicken when them leave party. Right?
Not only that, you just feel for some pan chicken. And you know what's funny? When I was growing up, it just hit me. Whenever my father would go out, like if my parents don't want to cook and them go and buy food off the road, them literally be like, you want some street food?
Yeah.
Like you want some food off of the street?
Yeah.
That is literally
it's literally food off of the street, yeah. Pan chicken, jerk chicken.
And when he says that, I know automatically he might talk about pan chicken.
Yeah. And when you think about it, the way it's packaged, you get it in a foil paper, and everybody knows that the best way to eat it is hot. So
when you stand up right beside the
right, because you taste and you say, this tastes good. Give me another pound. Give me another half pound. Give me another quarter pound.
Party, after the party, you're drunk and you stand up outside stadium. Everybody has had that night when you're out of stadium and you drink a cup of soup. And you stand up there, you drink the soup, you say, right, it tastes good and I feel better. Let me drink another one.
Yeah, so I mean another good example. Hero Circle. There's crab, there's corn, there's soup, there's coconut.
Some of the best corn and soup me ever drank in my life.
That is street food. Like, not even nowhere for park. You're on the street.
Catch up in the gas station and
right?
You walk over there.
Right? And then, let's take it back to Faith Spin.
Faith Spin is the epitome of like a, you know, how I categorize it, just to put it in more of a Western look, or to what the American idea that we model it off.
Yeah.
You know, like how they have those fairs and you walk around and you stop at different stalls and eat in one concept.
That's what Faith Spin is.
That's what Faith Spin
But every day.
But every day. And for some of you who don't know, I know a lot of people assume that Faith Spin don't exist anymore, but that's a lie. They just relocated, and there's a space where you can come off the highway, go over to Faith Spin and go back onto the highway without your toll being affected.
Yep.
You just have to know the route, because it will mess you up.
It's right where the only gas station on the highway to
the Unity Valley.
Yes.
So if you're heading back to Kingston, it's that left turn and you have to go round to the other side, and then the opposite for the other direction.
Yeah, but vendors are there. I did stop and get some yam and saltfish there once, and
it's very good.
So the option is still there.
And we have so many places like that. There is a place in St. Elizabeth, I believe, and they specialize in that's the original roast yam and saltfish place.
Yeah, I remember every time my mother would go St. Elizabeth, she always would come back with
the first time I had it, we went on this history trip in high school, and Miss Taylor Smelly was like, no, I have to stop. I don't want no KFC. I have to get some roast and saltfish. And I think it was funny because a lot of people, it was the first time they were having this. They did not know that this place existed any at all. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people who are on social media. And I think one of the reasons why I don't engage is because I don't want to sound like I know it all, but I obviously know more than you do, because I'm telling you that you're assuming that this doesn't exist, but it's true, it's there. You just have never been there.
Yeah, so that was something that I wanted to bring up. I do feel like, if you think about the socioeconomics of it, when you think about people who has access to 24/7 American cable, uptown people, middle class people in Kingston, right? When you think of street food, like Jamaican street food is in rural places.
Of course, that's true.
It's in the country. When you think of the roast yam and saltfish,
the only thing in Kingston
the pudding man.
Oh God, the pudding man. That's
the pudding man in Priory.
I was like, the pudding man. It's long time I need a pudding man.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
But Dukuno, blue drawers used to be something that you could find on the side of the road once upon a time as well.
I remember. And you know what? It's funny because in Kingston, the only one I can think of, apart from the concentration of people at Hero Circle, it's just the pan chicken man at Red Hills, the ones at North Side. There was one once upon a time at Manor Park, but with the change in the road structure, he had to move. And then we have the random soup woman.
Not even that, but let's go even further than that. Even when you say Hero Circle, where is Hero Circle? Downtown. Most people don't go downtown.
People not going out of their way to go Red Hills either.
I'm not gonna lie, I have never really had a reason to go downtown. My mother never really went downtown, so I will admit I'm an uptown girl that way. I never worked in downtown. My mother or my father never worked downtown, so I really never go down there. And growing up in, I guess, Upper St. Andrew, you definitely are socialized with this idea of what downtown is, and so it's like, why am I going downtown for? I don't need to go downtown, because anything that is available downtown, you can get uptown, or you're socialized to think.
You're socialized
to think that.
And when you think about it, it's really easy access. Like, I went to Coronation Market this morning, and this is the first time in my life I've ever been inside Coronation.
Yeah, I've been there once.
I went inside and I was like, Rati, this is just at the inside of Livingston Market, because I've been inside Livingston Market so many times. That's
how I felt when, R.I.P. Constant Spring Market. But I've been inside Constant Spring Market, and so when I went to Coronation, I was like,
yeah, it's the same thing.
This looks very familiar.
Yeah, it's just one big structure, and then you have people on the street side selling as well. But you'll hear the rumors that, you get things cheaper down on Coronation versus up here. But it's true, because I've bought from both places now. And I see. So you have people who are unlike us, would never venture down there for any reason, because truth be told, anything down the Coronation Market, you can just pay $200 more, buy a shoes on, and you get the same thing, right? And for them, it's just easier access. So when we extend that to the conversation about street food, them not have no reason to go anywhere else, right? And especially if they think that it don't exist, then what's the point?
Right. But Just because you don't go down there don't mean that it don't exist.
Don't mean it don't exist.
And also, let me tell you, I am very glad that I know what food from Hero Circle tastes like.
Some of the best
soup I've ever had, some of the best corn. I know the crab is very controversial. I won't say why on here, just in case you don't know why. But I know some people are very feel away about the crab.
The crab tastes good.
The crab tastes good. I put it down to nutrients and culture.
Full stop.
And I'm here for the culture.
People eat worse.
I'm doing it for the culture.
People eat worse.
And trust me, street food is out and about and around the place.
And it's such an adventure. And honestly, if you've never had the experience, I would urge you, if it's within your means, to try it. Just drive out of Kingston one day. Don't take no highway. Just drive on a country road and you'd be surprised what the options are. If any one of our listeners are from the southern parishes of Jamaica outside of Kingston, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a little space, I think it's in Mandeville, either right before Mandeville or right after, but still in Manchester region, or it's either as soon as you get to St. Elizabeth, I don't remember. But there's some people out there that sell porridge. You can get porridge the whole day, and them have soup as well. Some of the best fish tea I've had was from, and it's literally just a roadside. You dip on the road and you pull off and you just buy some fish tea, or you buy some porridge.
There is a porridge man, Ashley. If you don't drive the highway to Ochi, I don't remember where exactly it is. I want to say somewhere in the vicinity of Mount Russell. I might be very wrong. Actually, no. It's driving to St. Elizabeth. It's driving to St. So it may be the same place that you're talking about. Let me tell you. There is a porridge.
And you can get porridge all day.
And it is on Google Maps.
All day you can get porridge.
I think it named Porridge Man. I think if you look up Porridge Man on Google Maps,
let me tell you, I had a little random adventure. Like literally, somebody woke me up 7 o'clock in the morning and they're like, "Oh, let's go on the grill." And I said, "Okay," because I want to grill. We drove South Coast and we did street food all because we never have no time for no breakfast, nothing like that. So we just stopped at random places and ate. So we did the things that everybody do when you drive in South Coast. We stopped at a porridge man, bought porridge, bought fish tea. Further down the road we got corn, and this was in the order that we had it. We had corn, we stopped and we got jelly, and then you're going to St. Elizabeth, you're going to go middle quarters for shrimp. Right?
Yeah, middle quarters
and
for
middle quarters, that middle quarters, little Ochi shrimp.
The Janga.
It is a staple in Jamaican food culture, and these are little things that people know, but at the end of the day, it's street food. A lot of them are prepared and packaged for you when you go there. Just like the pudding in Prairie, then cook it on the side of the road on the coal stove.
Yep.
Sometimes you go there, you have to sit down and wait the 10 minutes feet for done.
There is always traffic right there because of the pudding man.
And sometimes you pull up and rotted. Ain't not done yet. And you just sit down and wait the extra 5-10 minutes. And when them cut it and give it to you, you have to put it in a 3-4 foil paper because it's so hot. But it's street food, it's prepared right there for you.
Right.
But because it's not coming out of a food truck or a fancy hot dog cart in the middle of Manhattan, is it that we don't classify that as street food too? Even though the definition suggests.
Yeah. You know what's also interesting? There's another tweet here that says, one pro of living in Jamaica is street side food.
Of course.
Can't bother cook, get pan chicken.
Just go on the road. You're bound to find somebody that sells something.
Bound to find.
Speaking of, I was in traffic yesterday right by, you know where the new Tower House is on Barbican Road that leads out to Sovereign Side Gate?
Yes. I know where you're talking.
So right around that little bend before you get to Sovereign, there was a man there sitting down selling soup. There's a big Dutch pot on a coal stove with a big spoon, and him having soup cups, and him selling soup to people in the traffic.
Even right in front of Sovereign North, there's always a pan
chicken man is always out there.
Honestly, you're
somebody
bound to
somewhere
find food.
Always cooking something
or even if it's not cooking, actually, there are fruit vendors all over the place too. Like, look how much people sell banana on the road.
Look at the people who sell those things at the stoplight.
Yeah, sell orange. I remember when my mother used to work in New Kingston, there was this man, every morning, he used to, and this does count as street food because he prepared the food. He had his plastic, I don't know if he's still out there because I don't work in New Kingston, so I don't know. But he would have a plastic bag. In the plastic bag, you get one banana, a peel orange, some grapes, and whatever other fruit was there. And that's some people breakfast.
For listeners who work downtown, you'll know that there's a man on Duke Street that does exactly the same thing. So when I used to drop Shanice down there for work, I would just take out, like, it used to cost me about $350, but him used to have him thing like in a plastic container, pineapple, grape, pawpaw, melon, everything, and then him sell, and then he would cut up everything for you, so like bite size, give you a fork to eat it with, and then if you want, you can pay $20 more and then give you a banana to go in the bag.
And you literally eat it right there in the traffic. Or
I used to eat it in the traffic on the way home, on the way to my office afterwards.
There you go. Another thing that I wanted to bring up in support of this Jamaica does have street food argument. In my look on Twitter, street food and Jamaica, I realized something. I realized there is a big disconnection between that argument that we had with other Jamaicans on Twitter versus tourists. I saw so many tweets, Ashley, from people who have never been to Jamaica who are like, can't wait to go to Jamaica and try the street food. Just watch that video about Jamaican street food on YouTube. Can't wait to go. You see, if you type in street food, Jamaican street food on YouTube,
the amount of pan chicken,
the barrage of videos that you're gonna come, and not even just pan chicken.
No, it's everybody else.
Everybody.
Remember that there's an entire episode. I don't remember which YouTube channel or which TV channel that featured the man by Prairie cooking the pudding.
Yeah, and so there's this tweet that says, "A destination with delicious street food is Jamaica." Of course, this is a tourist. This is someone who does not live in Jamaica. She was not born here. She's tweeting this. A destination with delicious street food is Jamaica. Besides the famous jerk, there are also patties, savory pastries stuffed with veggies or meat, and roasted breadfruit are standouts. Hashtag food travel chat.
Hey, the roast breadfruit on the side of the road really stand out.
Yeah, and I also when I saw this tweet, I also started to think that we are used to going into sugar and spice or tasty and buying a patty. But when there is no sugar and spice or tasty where you live in rural Jamaica, guess where you're gonna get patties from? The man with the stall on the side of the road.
Yeah, because I'm so patty.
They do sell patties.
They used to sell patties
there
at the stall at school.
There you go. There you go. And so when you do think about it, maybe for a Kingston person, patty is not street food. But for somebody else, somewhere else in Jamaica, somebody else that lives somewhere else in Jamaica, patty is a street food. And guess what? It is for immediate consumption because you literally can walk and eat the
Honestly,
patty.
the more I think about it, what you said earlier about you can just walk out of your house and get food. You know where I bought roast bread food the other day? The most unconventional space. Right when you know that entrance to Charlie Mount? Right there, the man was just on the corner selling roast bread.
Really?
Yes.
I've never seen him before.
He was just sitting at the corner, and I was turning onto Charlie Mount, and I drove past him, and I stopped, and I was like, wait, is that man selling roast bread fruit? Now, for me, it was very exciting because I love roast bread fruit, but I can't roast it myself because I have electric stove. So obviously, I stop and bite and him peel it for me and everything, and I was so grateful. And I was so surprised as well because I've never seen him there before. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've seen him sit. So it's probably not a regular, but he was just there on that day. And I asked him, I was like, you getting sale? Him say, yeah, man, people come and buy from me. And that is street food.
Yeah, that is street food. That is definitely
the man prepared the breadfruit for me. And gave it to me right there. It wasn't for immediate consumption, but
you could have also.
I could have also eaten because him peel the breadfruit and just give it to me. So if I don't want to break off piece and eat it, I would have.
There's this UK blog. It's called Little Jamaica. I figure it's run by somebody in the UK that has Jamaican ancestry or is Jamaican living in the UK now. But I wrote a little blog post on Instagram and it said, street food vendors, the backbone of Jamaica and a big part of our culture. For most Jamaicans living in rural areas, supermarket trips are a rarity, meaning that these type of roadside food stalls are kept afloat by single men and people in need of fruits and vegetables whenever they want. Much of Jamaica's national economy income is derived from foreign spenders, and more often than not, this money doesn't find its way to small businesses. At another roadside stall, the owner explains why this might be. It's hard to get foreign customers to come because the big resorts tell their people not to trust the locals.
Of course.
Indeed, resorts often house dozens of restaurants, so it follows that they would encourage guests to spend their money at one of their own establishments instead of on the streets. Tourist board depictions of Jamaica usually focus on impossibly white sands, cocktails with tiny umbrellas, and fruit salads. But for many of the 3 million people who live on our island, the reality is very different. And so I found it interesting that this person is saying tourists aren't interested in street food. But when you look at the conversations on Twitter, which of course is a very small subsection of the population of anywhere, but when you look at the conversations on Twitter, the tourists can't wait to come and try the street food.
Agreed.
And the Jamaicans are saying that street food doesn't exist. It's crazy. It's kind of crazy when you think about it.
It's funny because if you're supposed to look at the culture from everybody's perspective, so from the perspective of tourists don't want to come here for that, from the perspective of tourists dying to come here for that, and then from the side of the locals saying that it don't exist. If you look at it through everybody's lens, it comes back to the same thing. It's there, you're just ignorant to it.
Or your definition of it, you have a skewed definition of what
because
it is.
Based on what the unbiased definition is, it's very easy for us to identify that Jamaica has a huge food culture that obviously has global impact.
Right. So that leads into us playing devil's advocate now. And let's look at it from the perspective of people who think that there is no street food culture.
Okay.
There's a tweet. This is the last tweet for this episode. Tweet says, the only people that think Jamaica has street food culture are people that have never really experienced it elsewhere. That is all.
It comes back to the same thing. I'm not going to change my mind.
They have
a skewed understanding of what street food is, and because they don't see it looking identical in Jamaica, they are going to assume that Jamaica does not have a street food culture.
It comes back to
ignorance.
It don't look like what it looked like on TV.
So we don't have it.
Right. But then I got to thinking, right? Because I remember when this argument was going on the top. I did not participate in the argument.
No, I don't participate in any of those arguments.
But I did have some thoughts because
we always have thoughts and share them with each other.
Actually, say it's a long time this argument keep because
time not real.
This was when I did nearly just come back from Trinidad.
Time not real.
Because I remember
from 2019, girl.
Yeah, 2018.
Wow, time not real. Move on.
I remember being in Trinidad, right?
Trinidad also has big street food culture.
Right. So that's what I'm getting to. When I was in Trinidad, I will admit I did fall into the conundrum of being really taken aback by Trinidad street food because doubles alone is like street food, like, you know, a big thing for street food. But then one time we went on a field trip. We actually went on a culinary field trip to South, which is literally what it is, south of Trinidad.
I assume so.
So we went to South. And there is a road in South. It's not like Faith's Pen. It's like literally just road. So it's not like an area where you come off the road. It's just vendors lined up on the road. And we got so many different foods. And I think that is what the difference was for me. That's what I was enamored by. You know, when you go to Faith's Pen, it's like almost everybody serving the same thing. And so it's like you go into the person that you know you get food from before, but you know that you could have go to somebody else and also get jerk chicken, right?
Like Hellshaw.
Right, like Hellshaw. Whereas, I wish I could remember the place where exactly it was, but each vendor was selling something different. Like one vendor was selling choka, which is like tomato, like a mix-up tomato thing. One was selling bacon saltfish. One was selling, I can't remember what this thing is called, but it's kind of like a fried eggplant thing. There was another one dedicated to just sweets. Sweets like kind of like a gizzarda type vibe of sweets, but it was like the Trinidadian version of sweets. There was another one that was just dedicated to like chana, which is chickpeas. And of course there was another one dedicated to just doubles. I don't know if maybe my experience was skewed because I was there with a tour guide, and so they were specifically taking me to these different places to have these different food experiences. But I remember just being there and feeling like, wow, I wish there was a place like this in Jamaica. Because as much as we said, oh, there is the pudding, and there is the breadfruit, and there is the pan chicken, and there is a soup, in a sense, and I think this is what Faith Spence should have been, but in a sense, there's no one place that you can go to get all of that. From my experience, at least. Like, there's no just one hub where all of the street food resides. But that's not street food. There doesn't need to be a hub. Right?
Comes back to the same thing. What's the definition of the term?
Right.
I mean, there is some, well, at least I'm not sure how the variety looks now that Faith Spence has moved, but I remember going there years ago. And you can get a lot of different things, you know. Obviously, the jerk is at the forefront because that's what the essence and the foundation of it is. But you do have people over there that will sell things like curry goats and have like stew peas and all of that. But it's not the norm. So they do have some form of diversity, but not obviously to the extent to what you're speaking in Trinidad. And so while you're saying that, I was going to ask you if it is that you thought at that point, if you seeing that and knowing that Jamaica doesn't have that as far as you knew at the time, if you thought that Jamaica didn't have a street food culture from that.
Oh yeah, I did. At that point in time, when I thought about it, I was just like, in my mind, at this point in my life, I had not been to Hero Circle as yet. I had also not really explored Jamaica by myself. So everything I knew of Jamaica was through the lens of my parents, or like my parents, as I said earlier, my parents would go to St. Elizabeth and them would bring back the food for me.
So you never had that experience.
So I never really fully understood. I never stopped at the pudding man before this. Things were just brought to me while I was in my home. And it come back to the whole socio-economic thing. I was privileged in that way. I was privileged to think that the only street food that Jamaica had was jerk, because I didn't have the means, or there was no need for me to really go out and venture on my own. I mean, also I was young. I never had no car. I couldn't really, you know. And I think one of the things too that I also noticed in Trinidad was the same thing. Whereas me, I feel like I was removed from it because of my privilege at the time. Whereas I feel like because Trinidad is smaller in population, in geographical size, I feel like street food is not as distant from the middle class as it can be. It's not as far removed. Yeah. Okay. As it can be here in Jamaica.
What's Trinidad's population? I don't remember. I'm trying to think about the possibility of, you know, just a proximity that people would live to something like that, where everyone will have equal access and knowledge and information about the existence of it.
Well, remember that Trinidad can fit into Jamaica about 3 times.
Okay. That's
the population of Trinidad is 1.3 million.
So they literally fit over here about 3 times.
And a lot of Trinidad is bush and swamp. So a lot of it, people aren't even...
it's not...
People aren't living there.
So... I was gonna say something I said off air. I'm not gonna.
So I just felt like there was more, as you said, street food in Trinidad didn't feel as far removed as it can be in Jamaica, and so I feel like I can understand maybe that's why people maybe think that there is no street food culture in Jamaica. I also think it's interesting too how when you're a tourist in a place, you seek those things. You seek those very intimate and niche experiences.
Yeah, because you want to feel like a local. You want to experience what the locals experience.
Right, or what you think the locals experience. So as a tourist coming to Jamaica, you go seek it out. You do your little Google search Jamaican food, and you go seek out exactly. You go seek out the pudding man. You go seek out when you're going and you're staying in Ochi. You're gonna seek out all the different food options you have in Ochi, right? Same thing when I was going to Trinidad. You seek out those. I couldn't go to Trinidad and not have doubles,
That's kind of sad. I would eat some doubles right now.
And the same thing when you go to anywhere else. If you go to Mexico, you're going to seek out getting that street food experience. If you go to Colombia, or if you go to anywhere that has that like really popular idea of street food, you're going to seek out those experiences. I cannot say that people seek out street food experiences in Jamaica.
Or rather, you can't say that
locally. I should say locally, not in Jamaica, but locally. That's what I have to say about that side of the argument. Are they wrong? No, I'm not gonna say they're wrong, but I think their idea of what they're talking about is skewed.
I think it's just ignorance.
Yeah.
It's just ignorance to what exactly street food is and what you think it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Because this entire argument is debunked by the definition of the term.
Yeah.
So, and I think from the time that this topic of conversation came up, I felt the same way that I do now. And I remember scrolling through and seeing some of the tweets, and I was like, this is kind of...
It wild.
Yeah.
It wild.
And it makes you realize, which is also kind of sad, that there are people who've lived there for longer years than we have, and they've never had experiences like what we have gone through, you know. Yeah. And it's so funny because there's so much to offer.
There is.
Outside of the bubble that people live in.
And I'm not gonna lie.
And I'm not gonna blame them either. Some people just really and truly don't have reason to leave. Them don't have reason to go and seek it out. They probably just don't even know it exists.
They don't know it exists.
And that's fine. And to be honest, it's not marketed to locals.
It's not marketed to locals.
I would never know about the porridge, man, if I never drive through it with somebody who has gone there before. Yeah. Right? And he's pretty much a local in that part, so he know about all of those things.
Yeah.
Right? If it wasn't for my parents, I wouldn't know about the pudding man. I wouldn't know about Fatesman.
If it wasn't for my parents, I wouldn't know about that. I would not know about that.
Look at that. Kareem had roast yam and saltfish for the first time in his life when he came to my house and my father made it for him.
There you go. And you know, it is what it is. You can't demonize people for not knowing better.
Not. That's not what we're doing
because of
here.
Their socioeconomic status.
But what I do not appreciate is people who make these definite comments without any research.
There's also no open-mindedness. There's no willingness to say, maybe they do have a point.
Remember, you can change your mind when you are presented with new information.
Yes. And remember, Google is free. Google is free. If somebody... Let me tell you, that's one thing about me.
Mega read about it.
And
if I don't know, if somebody and I are having a conversation and they mention a place, a term, or a word that I don't know, I
go Google it.
I'm either going to ask them instantly what you're talking about so I can learn more, but regardless, I'm going to read about it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in this new age where technology is so advanced and information is so easily accessible, I should not be ignorant, right? Not when Google is free. Like, it's not a situation where I'm locked up in a house where I can't have access to anything, and I'm supposed to be living in this bubble where only certain things I'm exposed to.
Yeah.
No, just do some reading.
Yeah.
What's your favorite street food place here?
Me?
Yeah.
Boy, actually, I'm not gonna lie. The soup at
Hero
Stadium.
Circle?
The soup at Stadium hold me.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's because I grew up, I mean, I was at the stadium so often when I was younger, between either swim meets or champs or whatever. I didn't run, guys. My mother used to work there, so I was always there. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's mixed with nostalgia, but I can't go stadium and do buy soup. Like, if I go and do buy soup, I feel away.
Really?
So I would say that's probably my favorite. That and the roast yam and saltfish from St. Elizabeth. Those two are probably my two favorite street food in Jamaica. What's yours?
I don't know. I don't think I can identify one. I think before Fatespen moved, it would definitely be Fatespen. I loved everything about it. I love just how the environment felt when you go. It just felt very familiar and it's very homey and the food is amazing.
I used to look forward to stopping at Fatespen.
Yeah, it was just so good. My father loved it there, so we used to go all the time.
Yeah, my parents too.
And the chicken good, the pork good.
Everything
have good. Such good roast bread
food.
And I'm a fiend for roast bread food. Like, it's one of my favorite things in the world. And I used to love Fatespen, but I feel like this is probably also nostalgia. I don't get the same feel when I go to the new one.
No.
And it affects
it's
how
not the same in terms of ambience.
Yeah, and and I think because of that, and because I have the experience of the previous one, I think it somewhat affects how I like the food as well.
Yeah.
But me not like the porridge, man. I think it's because I was so surprised that this person exists, and it was the first time I was having it. The best fish tea I've ever had. Best fish tea. It was, the pudding stands supreme. But how I view street food in Jamaica is that I can't compare them to each other because they're so different. It's a different experience, a different type of food.
That's true. That's true. And I mean,
I want to pin two bad bitches against each other.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to be that person, I mean, Jamaica Food and Drink Festival is when they put on Meat Street. It's amazing. That's a huge street food fest right there.
The last one I went to was great. I just walk and eat the whole night.
Meat Street is closer to an American version of street food. Kingston Kitchen is a closer version to the American version of street food.
Look at Kingston Night Market.
Kingston Night Market. It about guys. The food about in the streets. Support it. Go and support it. Really.
And you know, you might think that because these places exist in rural areas where there isn't information about them online, that's not true. You can literally Google a porridge man and look at the pudding in Priory just to get like more understanding and when it's available. So just go quick Google search.
Yeah.
Remember, Google is free.
Google is free. So with all that said, here on WongaGyal the podcast, we say street food in Jamaica does exist.
It's alive and well.
It's alive and well.
And if you've never experienced it, we have some suggestions for you. Just hop in the WongaGyal DMs and
and don't knock it till you try it. Don't knock it till you try it.
That's what we advocate for on this,
at the end of the day,
podcast.
Don't knock anything till you try it, and that also comes with the definition of things. Don't knock people's definition of things, or don't knock people's opinion until you look deeper into it.
Unless you just want to be stupid.
That too. If you're a troll,
troll, then yeah.
Sorry.
We're gonna knock you.
Yeah, facts. Alright guys, well that wraps up this episode. Conclusion. Street food exists. Street food exists in Jamaica.
And if you've never had it, we strongly urge you to try.
Yeah, we do. Alright guys, stay safe, keep masked up, sanitize, social distance, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.